A primary school student went missing on campus. Surveillance cameras showed the girl entering the cafeteria but never exiting. Her family sought my help to pinpoint her whereabouts. My divination indicated she had met with disaster. Yet her Bazi, 8 characters of birth, told me she was still alive. A young woman, around 20, came to me, distraught. She said her younger sister had vanished from school 3 years prior. No person found, no body recovered. I asked for the girl's name and Bazi. The Bazi showed an abundance of wood elements, specifically Ren Yin wood, nurtured by water. It also indicated a flourishing career, Dinyu fire metal, on the rise. The more I analyzed the Bazi, the more something felt wrong. The child's age didn't align with the successful career phase. I then asked for the exact date of her disappearance, the month of Giwei, on the day of Jiazi. The girl was 10 years old when she vanished at 10:00 p.m. during the 3rd quarter of the Shen hour. The young woman nodded, her eyes wide with fear. Master, is my sister alive or dead? I explained what I saw in the Bazi. The Bazi only speaks of life, not death. This child's Bazi indicates life. However, another divination reading showed a conflict between her birth hour and the day she disappeared. Jiazi. This suggests the child died on the very day she went missing. The young woman clutched my hand tightly. What do you mean? She pleaded. Master, I don't understand. How can her Bazi indicate life if she's dead? I gazed intently at the divination plate on my phone, trying to soften the blow. The child is dead, but her Bazi may have been borrowed by someone else. Of course, I hope I'm wrong. The young woman covered her face, sobbing uncontrollably. Master, if my sister was murdered, where is her body? I shook my head, helpless. If her fate and lifespan truly were borrowed, calculating her location was impossible. She choked out. I'll report it to the police again. Ask them to investigate thoroughly. If my sister truly met with foul play, there must be clues left behind. The truth is, in cases of borrowed fate and lifespan, the individuals involved often hold such power that they can cover the sky with one hand. Ordinary people can't touch them. Take the red-clothed boy case, for example. I always advise people not to reveal their Bazi carelessly, to prevent others from manipulating their destiny. Missing person cases like these often lead nowhere. Without sufficient evidence to prove Lily Wang was kidnapped or murdered, the police won't reopen the investigation. She bowed her head in despair. What can I do then? Can my sister still be found? She covered her face and wept. I reached out, patting her shoulder to console her. There's still one way. Soul summoning at the sight of her disappearance. I pulled out a piece of paper and handed it to her. If we succeed in summoning her soul, it confirms the child was indeed murdered and her Bazi was borrowed. If we can't summon her, perhaps she is still alive. She grabbed my arm, agitated. Master, what do I need to do? I took a pen from my pocket and wrote down the necessities. 3 bowls, an incense stick, candles, lime powder, a large rooster, and clothes Lily once wore. After writing, I gave it to her. 3 days from now, at 11:00 p.m., the hour of Z, go to the spot where she disappeared. Over the next few days, I spoke extensively with the missing girl's older sister. I learned more details. The older sister's name was Sophie Wang, and the younger sister's name was Lily Wang. Both names carried the meaning of calling for a son or hoping for a son. The two sisters lived with their frail elderly grandfather. Their parents had left to work in distant cities. Later, their parents had a son, making them even less concerned about the two girls. Sophie essentially raised Lily herself. She dropped out of school and started working in her teens, leaving only Lily and their grandfather in the village. 3 years ago, when Lily was 11, she disappeared from school. Her parents didn't even bother to show up. By the time Sophie learned the news, 3 days had already passed. The school where Lily disappeared was a rural elementary school, backed against a mountain. Not long after the disappearance, the school was abandoned. Yesterday, I stayed in a nearby town for a night and heard a few stories about this place. Behind the mountain, there was an abandoned infant pagoda, a place where baby girls were left. Girls were sold as child brides from a young age. Newborn girls were even sold for medicinal purposes. An old woman, her face expressionless, recounted these stories about the girls. It made me incredibly uncomfortable. All this information clearly indicated a severe preference for sons over daughters in this area. But at 8:00 p.m., Sophie cycled to pick me up for the school. "Did you bring the items?" I asked. She pointed to a fertilizer sack containing the rooster on the back seat of her bike, then patted the backpack on her back. "Everything's ready." The bike ride from the town to their village took half an hour. Along the way, I asked her, "Have you ever thought about changing your name?" Her voice drifted to me on the wind. "Of course, I have. But my household registration is still with them. They won't hand it over, afraid I'll transfer it and leave for good." As we approached Sophie's village, we turned onto a narrow path shaded by pine trees. We cycled for another 10 minutes to reach the school. The school gate had been torn down. The walls were crumbling, and stubborn weeds grew from the cracks in the cement. In the courtyard, a newly installed solar light cast a faint glow. Sophie stopped her bike in the courtyard. "Shall we start now?" I looked around. My previous ambush experience left me wary. I always had to assess the environment first. It was just past 9:00 p.m. Let's put the items on the bike for now. We'll take a walk around the school to check the surroundings. The school consisted of a single 4-story teaching building with 3 classrooms on each floor. Other than the locked door to the rooftop, the building was unremarkable. It didn't even have any gargoyles. To the east stood a new 3-story building, its staircase piled high with plastic bottles and construction materials, suggesting frequent visitors. The cafeteria was to the west, behind the teaching building. Beside the cafeteria was a cement path leading up the mountain. After a full circuit, I noticed an S-shaped cement road cutting through the entire school, from the front gate to the back. "Where does this path behind the cafeteria lead?" Sophie shook her head. "This path was only renovated 2 years ago. It wasn't here before." I checked my watch. "Let's go get the items." As I carried the rooster near the cafeteria, it crowed loudly. In response, distant dog barks echoed, and birds in the forest scattered in fright. Sophie huddled close to me, visibly scared. I took the rooster. Don't be afraid. Just follow my instructions. She nodded. Yes. I took out the bowls and yellow paper. The paper went under the bowls, placed in front of the cafeteria door. After setting everything, I used a small knife to make a cut on the rooster's comb, letting blood drip into a bowl. Then I placed the rooster down, lit the yellow paper, and lit the incense. I instructed her. It's almost the hour of Z, when yin and yang converge. This spot is the gate of life. You must step over the bowls when entering or exiting. Yes, she stepped over the bowls and pushed open the cafeteria door. A pungent paint smell assaulted us. The kitchen door inside was tightly shut, covered in thick red paint. What's that smell? Sophie covered her nose. Raw lacquer. I stepped forward, shining my flashlight carefully on the folding door. Raw lacquer, painted on a door, is used to suppress souls. Could something be sealed inside? If something is sealed, the soul summoning ritual will surely succeed. I'm about to open it now. Stay close to me. Sophie reached out, tugging my shirt, bowing her head, afraid to look. I pushed the wooden door open with force. The flashlight beam revealed a filthy, cluttered kitchen and a locked back door. Nothing, I said. Hearing me, Sophie finally dared to look up. Master, do you hear crying? No. She clung to me in fear. Am I imagining things? I gently pulled my arm away. Get the items out. It's time to summon the soul. I laid out paper money, used incense and candles to create a bridge, sprinkled lime powder around the paper money, and then took out Lily's clothes. Master, here they are. I took the clothes and placed them before the pile of paper money. Chanting a spell, I ignited the yin fire. A greenish flame suddenly flared up, but the clothes remained intact, unburnt. I lit 3 more incense sticks and placed them to the west. Then I chanted the soul-summoning incantation. Heaven and earth, yin and yang, all living beings, I, your disciple, obey the ancestor master's command, humbly inviting the 3 true sovereigns to descend. Let this talisman be proof. This incense lead the way. Summon the soul here. Spirit, appear quickly. The large rooster at the door crowed again. Cold gusts of wind swept in, blowing away the incense ashes. Spirit, appear quickly. Suddenly, many footprints appeared within the lime powder circle, and the shirt in the middle stood upright. This time, I couldn't see the spirit clinging to the clothes. I chanted, asking the departed spirit, "Are you Lily Wang?" The shirt sleeves moved, and then the entire garment began to flutter violently as if struggling to break free from some constraint. If you have a grievance, speak it quickly. As soon as I finished speaking, the footprints on the lime powder grew more numerous. The shirt flew up, then fell down, finally tearing into shreds in midair. A piece of fabric even flew out the door. The crowing rooster fell silent. "Master, what's happening?" Sophie cried, terrified. "Was that my sister's shirt standing up just now?" I said nothing, staring intently at the circle of footprints, calculating with my fingers. A great misfortune. Southwest direction. Water conceals a young girl, sealed within a dense rock forest. It can be confirmed that your sister is dead, murdered by someone, and her soul is suppressed somewhere. I said this as I walked towards the kitchen's back door. The back door was locked and couldn't be opened. I noticed several kitchen tiles on the counter, casually picked one up, and smashed the padlock. With a claquet, the back door burst open. My flashlight beam pierced the darkness. Under the eaves, there was a freezer covered with a corrugated iron sheet. 2 meters away, there was a cement well. Master, I hear crying again. Sophie tugged my shirt from behind. I nodded. I hear it too. It's from the well. A little girl's voice, very faint, like muffled sobs, emanated from inside the well. Stand close to the wall. I'll go check. As I approached the well, the sound grew clearer. The peeling cement around the well bore countless ghostly imprints, and I even felt as if blood was about to seep from it. Climbing onto the well, the crying stopped. I steeled myself to face whatever lay within, shone my flashlight into the well, but it was dry and empty. Ah! Sophie's startled cry pierced the air. I turned around to see a disfigured, incomplete figure crawling out from the freezer under the eaves, its head tilted, scuttling forward. Heaven round, earth square, 9 chapters of lore. I write with gold, myriad ghosts hide. With the second stroke, Ancestor Master's sword, summon heavenly soldiers and generals to strike. The creature vanished instantly. Sophie ran to me in terror. Master, I'm so scared. Help me. She quickly climbed onto the meter-high well. I squinted, looking towards the rooftop of the teaching building. A row of figures stood there. Are those ghosts too? Before I could finish my sentence, the figures on the rooftop began to jump down one by one. Damn it! My heart went half cold. There were far too many entities here. Would I even make it out alive tonight? I prepared to retreat to the gate of life in the cafeteria. Master, someone's pulling my leg. Before I could react, Sophie was dragged down into the well, pulling me down with her. I fell, hitting the ground. Looking down, the well entrance had vanished. Help me, Master. Help me, Master. Save me. Sophie's terrified voice echoed from beneath the ground. I clasped my hands, drawing a talisman where the well had been. Heaven and earth, profound and dark. All methods return to the gate. All methods unimpeded. Ancestor Master descends. Break the illusion here. Break. The well entrance reappeared. I looked down into it. The previously empty well was now filled with a dark red liquid, reaching Sophie's waist. I called out, "Give me your hand." "Master, where are you?" "I can't see anything." So I put down my flashlight and reached both hands in, pulling her up. Then I dabbed cinnabar between her eyebrows to break the ghost's illusion. "There are so many children down there, covered in blood," Sophie said, trembling with fear. I silently gazed at the well mouth. A crowd of children was jostling, crawling out of the well. "Step back first." "Don't look back." Yes, the well itself was a ghost formation, and combined with whatever was on the teaching building's rooftop, breaking the formation so recklessly without understanding the connection between the two sides was risky. I feared problems. I temporarily sealed the well and returned to the cafeteria. The lime powder and paper, talismans on the floor, looked as if something had crawled over them, leaving a mess. The large rooster at the door had also died mysteriously. Of the 3 bowls in the Gate of Life formation, 1 was shattered. All these signs indicated that something very powerful had arrived. Was it those jumping ghosts from the rooftop? I used 3 fingers to lift the middle bowl. Pass through the Gate of Life. Return the soul. Yin and Yang separated. Return to your place. Crash! A porcelain bowl shattered in mid-air with a crisp sound. Let's go. This place is too complicated. We'll prepare and come back tomorrow. Sophie nodded dejectedly. Can we still eat the rooster at the door? It was eaten by ghosts. Even if you took it home to cook, it wouldn't taste like anything. We had only taken a few steps when the sound of another porcelain bowl shattering echoed from behind. My heart sank. We can't leave tonight. I turned back and saw a Qing Dynasty male ghost standing right where the bowl had been, glaring at us with a resentful expression. I quickly pulled several paper talismans from my pocket and handed them to Sophie. Take these for protection. Before Sophie could even take them, an invisible force knocked her down. As I pulled her, I was also dragged forward. Azure heaven, potent earth, evil spirits, retreat. The invisible force dissipated. I bent down to help her up. Master, up there. Sophie pointed at something on the teaching building's rooftop. I realized something, pulling and dragging her towards the asphalt road. The ghosts on the rooftop jumped down one by one, landing on the grass, writhing in pain. We were almost dragged by those jumping ghosts just now. A rustling sound came from the cafeteria door again. From a distance, a little girl was being dragged inside by the Qing Dynasty male ghost, clutching her leg. The girl looked up at us with pleading eyes. The cafeteria door was locked from the inside. Sophie burst into tears. It's my sister. That man killed my sister. I shook my head. That man is a fool ghost. A ghost bound to a talisman or cursed object. It's too dangerous here. We have to retreat first. I held 3 incense sticks in my palm, chanted an incantation to light them, using them to deter the entities here. I tried to light the incense twice, but it wouldn't catch. They wouldn't let us leave. I pulled Sophie to the new building to the east, looking for a yang, positive energy, position. I burned paper talismans to set up a formation. When they get close, we'll strike them. And that's our chance to escape. I pulled out 3 more incense sticks and lit them. First, I humbly invite the Ancestor Master. Second, I humbly invite the Spirit Official for protection. Naming of me. I know to have all the apps. A bison B. Nói. Oh. Third, I humbly invite the mysterious maiden to establish order. Your disciple is acting here. Grant peace and protection. And may all things be smooth. After the incense burned, I handed it to Sophie. Sophie. Hold this incense for protection. Yes. Rustling sounds came from all directions. The ambient temperature dropped sharply. I lowered my voice. Don't speak. They're here. Sophie held the incense in one hand and fearfully tugged my sleeve with the other. The flashlight beam slowly dimmed. In the darkness, countless unseen entities lurked. Plastic bottles on the stairs clattered as if someone had stepped on them. As the light shone, I saw a disfigured girl crawling on the ground, her finger pointing towards the forest to the west. Dark red blood flowed from her neck. Before I could get a clear look, I caught sight of the Qing dynasty male ghost wielding a broadsword, descending upon us. Heaven round, earth square, 9 chapters of law. I write with gold, myriad ghosts hide. With the second stroke, Ancestor Master's sword summoned heavenly soldiers and generals to strike. After striking them, I pulled Sophie and ran. We hadn't run 2 steps before several jumping ghosts from the rooftop blocked our way. To continue that way would surely mean death. I had no choice but to pull her towards the path behind the cafeteria until we reached a fork in the road and stopped. I broke 3 blades of kogon grass, chanting an incantation. Heaven and earth, profound and dark, all methods resolved. Humbly inviting Ancestor Master to descend, using grass as a sword to sever connections, dispel all evil here, quickly retreat. The kogon grass snapped in half and fell to the ground. The incantation succeeded. I breathed a sigh of relief. Master, is there someone down there? Sophie's words made my recently calmed heart clench again. The flashlight beam reached. In the dense forest, a soul-summoning flag was erected. I walked a little further and discovered a narrow path made by human footsteps. On the grass, there were fragments of fabric. Isn't this the torn clothing from when we summoned the soul? How did it fly here? Sophie asked, incredulous. Let's check it out, I said. Nói đến ngôi lì ngoại, I know and check. I there no doubt. I followed the narrow path for about 4 or 5 meters and found a grave made of stacked stones with the soul-summoning flag planted at its head. I once again performed a divination with my fingers. A grave built in a dense forest with warped feng shui surely means utter extinction of descendants. Thinking of the direction the disfigured girl had pointed, an answer flashed in my mind. Is there a very skilled fortune teller in your village or town? Yes, there is. People in the village often seek him when they're sick. He's also the school chef, Sophie said. Suddenly, her voice rose sharply. He's the one. He's the murderer of my sister. I nodded. The entire school is his ritual ground, his place of practice. This pile of stone graves buries the remnants of his victims. Tomorrow, we'll set a time to go to his house and look for something. What something? A talisman inscribed with a Bazi, accompanied by human skin and hair. This is usually placed on his sacrificial altar. Once you get it, report it to the police immediately. Yes. The next morning, we went to town to buy materials to break the formation. After purchasing them, Sophie drove me to the school to set up the formation first. Then she returned to the village to find the fortune teller. Carrying the items up to the teaching building, the door to the rooftop was locked. I assembled the engineering shovel I had prepared, and with a few swift moves, broke the lock. The walls on the rooftop were covered with grotesque ghost figures, giving the sensation they could leap down at any moment. At 5 specific points, I placed 5 stones carved with talismans. I lifted one stone. Beneath it was a red cloth wrapped around a clump of tangled hair. I took a photo and sent it to Sophie. This school must have had at least a dozen deaths to nurture such a powerful Qing dynasty for ghost. Oh, the rooftop is a yang energy gathering point, while the well is a yin wealth gathering point. Combined with the S-shaped road running through the school, it creates an yin-yang inversion. Borrowing lifespan and changing fate. Such a powerful, full ghost ritual of the 5 elements. Who is it meant to borrow lifespan and change fate for? I took a plastic bag from my backpack, grabbed a handful of incense, sprinkled it onto the stone, drew a talisman, and set up the formation. After finishing the rooftop formation, I prepared to go downstairs to the well behind the cafeteria. Sophie called. Master, he's not home. Just as she finished speaking, I heard the sound of a motorcycle and quickly hid in a second-floor classroom. A moment later, a middle-aged man rode his motorcycle into the school. I whispered, "He's at the school. So what now?" Sneak into his house and get the item. I'll handle things here. Okay. The call didn't disconnect. I put on an earpiece. As soon as she gets the Bazi, I'll break the formation on the rooftop first. The middle-aged man carried a bag of items towards the cafeteria. When he saw the talismans and broken bowls in front of the cafeteria door, he looked around in alarm. After confirming no one was there, he pushed the door open and went inside. I lay under the classroom window curtain, observing his actions. A while later, he came out with the bag again and rode his motorcycle away. He's gone. Probably home. Be careful. Sophie's voice was very soft. Master, I'm inside his house now. I don't see any sacrificial altar. What does it look like? A locked room or cabinet, or the attic with offerings and ghost statues? After waiting a few minutes and confirming I didn't hear the motorcycle, I went to the cafeteria to set up the formation. I needed to separate the yin-yang inversion of the school, cut off the connection between the 2 ghost positions, thereby weakening the power of the Fu ghost and preventing it from controlling these lonely souls. I sprinkled incense onto the well, chanted a spell over paper talismans, lit them, and threw them into the well. Master, I found it in the attic. Use the urine from that red bottle this morning and sprinkle it on the ghost statue. Yes, she hung up. I returned to the cafeteria, preparing to guide the lonely souls out for their final journey. Heaven and earth, yin and yang, all living beings, I, your disciple, obey the Ancestor Master's command, humbly inviting the 3 true sovereigns to descend. Let this talisman be proof. This incense lead the way. Tata, summon the soul here. Clatter, clatter, clatter. 4, 5 little girls crawled out of the kitchen. 1, 2, there. Their faces were carved with talismans, and the Baihui acupoint on the top of their heads was a bloody, mangled mess. Where they crawled, they left winding trails of blood. I will guide you to the underworld. Do you agree? The 5 girls only shook their heads, making faint, indistinguishable sounds. I lit incense, building a yin bridge to the underworld. Suddenly, the incense smoke, which should have risen, sank downwards. The 5 girls were pulled by a powerful force back into the kitchen. Swirling smoke enveloped the entire kitchen. I gripped the paper talisman and stepped forward. All the scenery began to change. I immediately entered a void space, images constantly shifting. The 5 girls were murdered by the Fu ghost at different times, but in the same location. Damn it! I exclaimed in shock. The kitchen, originally an illusion, reverted to its original form. The few ghost, which shouldn't have appeared, now wielded an ancient broadsword, attacking me. The broadsword of the ghost statue also became a physical object, slashing at the doorframe, leaving a deep gash. I turned to run, but the main door was locked from the outside by the middle-aged man. Oh, damn it, another ambush. Fortunately, I was prepared. I pulled out the engineering shovel which had been coated with special material and struck the fool ghosts. One blow sent it flying into the kitchen. Oh, Seizing the opportunity, I used paper talismans and red cloth to set up the profound fire formation. Supreme Elder, Lord, taught me to slay demons, granted me divine methods. First slay the evil ghosts, then cut down the night spirits. 9 heavens profound fire, ignite before the formation. The red cloth burst into flames, and profound fire lashed directly at the few ghosts. Simultaneously, profound fire also erupted on the rooftop. Heaven-shaking screams echoed throughout the school. Through the crack in the door, I could see several fireballs swaying back and forth on the rooftop until the sounds vanished and the flames died down. I kicked open the wooden cafeteria door. The middle-aged man stood at the crossroads, holding a wood-chopping knife, his eyes dark as he glared at me. Destroying someone's altar, destroying someone's formation is tantamount to taking their life. I clutched the engineering shovel tightly. Those are the rules of our power. But if you set up a ritual ground to harm people, I cannot stand idly by. The man sneered. Harm people? These children were all sold to me by their parents. Their parents killed them. His words struck my heart like a hammer. I had thought these girls were victims of borrowed fate and lifespan for various reasons, but I never imagined their own parents were the ones who harmed them. The root cause was the severe preference for sons over daughters in this area. Now, and seeing me unmoving, the man sighed and hung the wood-chopping knife back on the rack behind him. Little girl, you're still young and naive. Perhaps you don't understand the wickedness of society. You broke my ritual ground, but perhaps you also freed some wronged souls. I won't hold this against you. Let's consider tonight's events as never having happened. You may leave. I turned to look at the cafeteria. The 5 little girls' spirits stood in the corner, their eyes full of hopeful expectation, looking at me. No life should be trampled, despised, or taken away, not even by their own parents, who have no right to it. What I can do is seek justice for these children. You are the one who killed them. The man's hand, which had been hanging down, reached behind him again. I continued. Parents who sell their children commit the crime of child trafficking. And you committed premeditated murder. What do you want to do? Report me to the police. The man pulled out his wood-chopping knife again, advancing step by step. Do you know who stands behind? You cannot afford to offend them. I gripped the engineering shovel, refusing to back down. Do you know who stands behind Yene? The man paused, looking at me with some apprehension. Behind me are the nation and its people. As soon as I shouted, I swung the shovel at the man. He seemed elderly and valued his life, fearing he couldn't beat me. So he turned and ran. I threw a shovel, sending him sprawling to the ground. Intentional injury. I'll report you to the police. The man groaned, clutching his waist. Master, I'm here. Sophie skidded her motorcycle to a halt in the schoolyard. Behind her was a police car. This girl is really reliable, I thought to myself. The man saw the familiar faces and cried out, Help me! I want to sue her for intentional injury. Sophie's voice drowned out his. It's him. He's the one who killed my sister. There's a freezer behind the cafeteria. There must be evidence inside. The FBI agent next to her signaled her to be quiet. How do you know that? She cried. I saw my sister crawl out of the freezer with my own eyes. Believe me, that freezer is where body parts are kept. There must be evidence. We will investigate and examine the case. Please don't get agitated. He then looked at me. Who are you? I spread my hand. He was holding a wood-chopping knife behind me. I was scared. I recited my ID number. He looked at his phone, wanting to speak, but holding back. I raised my hand. I've already filed a report. All right, you're safe then. He then began to question the man on the ground. He's not from here. He moved here 10 years ago. Since he arrived, how many children have gone missing from our town and village? He's the killer, Sophie insisted. We're not asking you. Don't get agitated. I pulled Sophie back. They'll handle it. A moment later, another police car arrived. Several police officers went straight to the path behind the cafeteria, eventually cordoning off the rooftop and the cafeteria. Mr. Yao, you are suspected of human trafficking and premeditated murder. Please come with us. As he was being handcuffed and led away, the man gave me a provocative look, as if to say he had powerful backing. Before leaving, the FBI agent told the two of us, you two are involved in the case. For now, you are not allowed to leave this county. You need to cooperate with the investigation at any time. I silently thought, great, I'll have to ask for more time off. After everyone left, I performed a soul-guiding ritual for the 5 children outside the cafeteria's cordon. If you have grievances, speak them quickly. If not, let the paper money pave the way and the incense guide your souls. Follow the footprints and do not look back. The 5 children stood by the cafeteria door, looking at me pitifully. Do you hold resentment? Yes, the children replied in unison, their tender voices echoing in my ears. They don't deserve to be parents. They don't deserve to be parents. I pulled out paper talismans from my pocket, burned them, and scattered the ashes on the ground. Leave your names. I will avenge your grievances. A gust of wind blew, and 5 names appeared on the ground. Wang Pan Nan, Wang Xian Ni, Wang Lai, Di Li, Wang Yao, Ye. Sophie saw her sister Lily's name appear on the ground. She screamed. It's me. Can you see me? I will avenge you, sister. Finally, she knelt on the ground, weeping loudly. I miss you so much, Lily. At the door, tilted her head. Her face had lost its terrifying scar. She looked at her sister with a heartbroken expression. I helped Sophie up. Your sister sees you. Say a proper goodbye. Sister, Rest in peace. I will avenge you." Another gust of wind rose, and the little girl's voice slowly drifted away. "Let's go. My sister will surely clear our names." The paper money burned out, and they had stepped onto the yellow spring road, the path to the underworld. They have endured enough suffering in this life. May they find complete happiness in the next. "Master, the greatest sin lies with those parents who value sons over daughters," Sophie said. "Oh." I brushed the dust off my clothes, suddenly remembered when he once said, "Your mother threw you into the river." Perhaps I, too, was an abandoned baby girl. I spent several days investigating in the town and village, even going to the abandoned infant pagoda to find evidence. On the fourth day, police cars once again drove back into the village. A crowd of villagers surrounded Sophie, cursing and yelling. "Sophie, are you even human? You put your own parents in jail. You're worse than an animal. We raised you for nothing. We should have drowned you from the start." Several old women rushed forward, trying to hit her. "You mongrel! How dare you report your parents and fellow villagers? I'll beat you to death. Your parents should have killed you. You're trash, daring to report to the police. This is truly turning heaven and earth upside down." So what if they died? Their parents gave them life. They have the right to decide their fate. Girls are no good. They're like untamed wolves. Sophie's voice grew hoarse as she screamed. "The ones who deserve to die the most are all of you. You're a bunch of hags who look down on women. When you were young, you were also victims. But after you got married and had children, you poured your own misfortunes onto your daughters and granddaughters. Why can a girl's fate be decided so arbitrarily? Why are girls inferior to boys? Why is a girl's life not a life? The baby girls you abandoned in the pagoda, the baby girls who were sold, the baby girls you turned into medicine. Every single one is a sin. Dream of them coming to claim your lives in the middle of the night?" An elderly woman raised her hand, intending to slap Sophie. "Oh heavens! How can such a wicked and evil offspring appear in our village? Kill her! She's a disaster! Who reports their own birth parents to the police?" I shielded Sophie behind me. The crowd, crying and making a fuss, obstructed official duties, preventing the arrests. They even loudly declared, "A child's life is given by their parents. Parents have the right to decide." I shouted loudly, "From the moment of birth, life is protected by law. Parents killing their children is a crime." Sophie's parents and several villagers were taken away by the police. Before being led away, Sophie's father, his eyes red, said, "Sophie, your younger brother was sick then, and we had no money. We had no choice but to sell Lily. We never expected Lily to die." Sophie's mother said resentfully, "From childhood, we never lacked anything for you and Lily to eat and wear. When you grew up, we weren't like other families begging for money. We just made one mistake, and you want to drive us to death?" With that, she got into the police car. The crowd gradually dispersed. An old man, holding a little boy, sat on a chair. He looked at Sophie, wanting to speak, but holding back. Only as we were about to leave did he finally speak. "Sophie, will you still look after your grandfather and your little brother?" Sophie turned her back to the old man, silently shedding tears. After a long moment, she took 2,000 yuan from her pocket and placed it on the ground. Grandpa, Lily was closest to you, but I never imagined you would abandon her too. From now on, I will still send you money every month, but I won't come back to visit you anymore. On the bike ride back to town, she cried and said, if only they were truly evil, it would be better. Then I wouldn't hurt so much. I patted her shoulder to comfort her. In this world, there are rarely purely good or purely evil people. Because they are human, they have complex emotions. Her pain stemmed from the fact that her parents weren't entirely terrible to her. In the village, they might even have been considered good. The severe patriarchal mindset here created this situation. They were wrong, and they must face punishment for their wrongs. On the road ahead, I hoped she would live towards the light. May the warm spring bring blossoming flowers. As we neared town, she suddenly spoke. Master, please take me as your disciple. Why? I feel you're very trustworthy. Following you, I can learn something. Don't follow me. You'll starve 3 days out of 9.